Okay, looks like we're live, guys. How you guys doing today, man? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm outstanding, Dr. Peters. Uh, Mr. Charles, you doing all right today, sir?
Oh man, I'm great. I'm
Great,
great.
great, great, great.
Been at
Hey,
it
so we're
all
gonna go
day.
ahead and get started. Guys. I want to welcome everybody to another edition of the Credit Masters Live Show. I'm your host, Emmanuel Michael. I am also joined with my ace boom coons. That's a Mississippi word there, folks. Dr. Charles Irving, or Attorney Charles Irving, as well as Mr. Leslie Peters, coming all the way from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And each and every day over the last few weeks, guys, we've been giving you some fantastic information about personal credit, how to build your credit, how to make sure you got an effective credit score, whatever it is you're trying to do in life. And we just appreciate everybody tuning in to this live broadcast here on Facebook Live. And before we get started, I want to give you a little information, a couple instructions for watching us today on live. First thing we want to do, we want you to have our phone number, because if anything we say on this call today touches you, you have any questions, we want you to pick up the phone and give us a call. And that phone number is area code 601-340-6800. Again, it's 601-340-6800. We also want you to like our Facebook page. Go to Irving Law PLLC's Facebook page. Hit the like button, okay? Hit the like button, share it with your friends and family, because you never know who needs some legal advice and some attention with their personal credit as well. Credit is one of those topics and situations that people don't want to talk about in a public forum. However, it's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be ashamed of. I don't think you have to be ashamed of if you don't move forward and do something about it and get yourself together. The next page we want you to like is Credit Masters Live. If you're watching this broadcast after hours, go ahead and hit the like button on the page, as well as if you're watching the video, we want you to hit some hearts. Give us some thumbs ups, give us some hearts, or if you want to give us a frown face, a sad face, I don't care what it is, give it to us. Give us some feedback and let us know how we're doing. We want to make sure that we get better and better each and every day and get you the answers to the questions that you may have. Again, folks, we just appreciate you tuning in today. And our topic today is the credit score breakdown, So we got Dr. Leslie Peters here. He is a credit guru when it comes to credit. And we're going to dive a little deeper today. Yesterday on episode 7, we talked about the fastest way to improve your credit score. And as we were ending that episode 7 on the fastest way to improve your personal credit score, we touched briefly on the credit score breakdown. So we're going to go a little bit in depth today on the credit score breakdown. And guys, we have a couple of questions that came in. Hopefully we get an opportunity to get to those questions, and those guys come on the show today and ask their questions themselves. If not, I just ask them, because a lot of them are more legal questions for you, Charles. So we want to make sure that we put those questions in appropriate hands so we can get the right answers. So Dr. Pete, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull up this credit score breakdown. If you want to start touching on a little bit about the credit score breakdown, fire away.
Yes. Well, absolutely. I'll recap quickly what we talked about yesterday. And that is that when you look at the credit score, there's 3 primary breakdowns of it. You got 30, well, there's actually more than 3, but we'll break it down. 30% is dealing directly with your credit utilization. How much credit you have versus how much of that credit you're actually using. Okay. 35% is directly tied to your payment history. How well you've paid your bills over the history of that bill. Meaning, have you paid it on time? Have you paid it 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late? If so, how often, how much? All that affects 35% of your score. And then we have 15% of your score, which is tied to the length of your credit history, which is why we spent a lot of time yesterday talking about knowing what debt to remove and which debt items not to. Because if you have a credit card account that you've had since 2002 and you've paid it off and it's a zero balance, and you want to cut all your credit cards up, which is fine if you're going to cut them up, but don't cancel the card. Because if you cancel the card, you just destroyed a card with the long credit history and you just took away 15% from your score. So you want to be very careful you don't do that. And then 10% deals directly with new credit, meaning every time that you apply for a new credit card, every time you apply for a store card, when they got you at the mall saying, look, I can give you another 20% off if you apply for Macy's card today, if you apply for Penny's card today, you don't want to do that, because every time you do that, that affects 10% of your score. So the general rule on that, you can do two hard inquiries a month, and it generally not affect you. Once you go over that, it's problematic. What I tell people typically, you shouldn't be doing over one. So, and really you could go multiple months without having any new inquiries for credit. And then the last 10% is the types of credits that you use. You want to have some diversification there. You want to have some installment loans that show that your ability to pay things over time. You want to have some short-term credit offers. You want to have the different types, so installment, fixed, and those different types of credit situations. So that makes up your whole credit score. And again, it's on the screen, and you can see that breakdown, and that's your pie. So when you look at that, if 30%, the numbers that stick out to me is at 30 and 35. So if 30% is tied to my credit utilization, I need to attack that. If 35% is tied to my payment history, I need to make sure starting now, I pay all my bills on time. So that's two of the key areas right there that you can get off to a great start by attacking those two biggest areas.
Now, Pete, let's take a look at the amount that you owe in the credit history, payment history. Those three areas right there, those are some significant areas when it comes to helping individuals with their credit, individuals looking to raise their scores. Like you said, these are the area, the focal points that you want to make sure you're focusing on, folks. Now, I had a question that come in earlier today about an individual. Charles, I'm going to pull this one down here. I'm going to take this down. Okay. So, Charles, we have a question that came in, and it relates to our topic, but it's dealing with more of a car, a vehicle. Now, individual potential client, what happened was he was working a job, and he actually was driving a shuttle bus for a hotel. Had a car accident, didn't report it. Fender bender, didn't report it. Went and purchased him a car, got a car, used that hotel or that job as a source of verification of employment. As soon as the lender decided to call the job to verify employment, they found out that he had been let go. Company had to let him go because he had an accident and he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Long story short, he was terminated. Right now, he's picked up a job with Uber, driving Uber. Say he loves it. He's making more money than he was at the hotel, and his disability, so he's good to go. He makes the income, but the bank is saying that we don't recognize Uber as being a solid source of income, and we want the car back. Now, he got the car June the 2nd. It is the 18th of July. They called and said they want the vehicle back today. So one of the questions was, what options do we have? And he want to know, number one, can they do that? Because I've been driving the car. I had the car. I gave him $1,000 down. I said, well, can I get my money back? And the question was, well, the answer was, it depends on how many miles you put on the vehicle. Well, he said, well, I've driven over 4,000 miles on the vehicle because I'm driving Uber. I've been working hard. I've been getting it. So he's stuck. He don't want that to affect his credit, number one. Number two, he don't want them to say that he stole the car, stole the vehicle. And, of course, he don't really understand the paperwork that he signed. Like most people, when we purchase a vehicle, we don't even understand what we sign. We just sign a whole bunch of documents because we're excited that we got the car and we're moving forward. So I'm going to pass that question. I know that's a long question. However, I wanted to ask that question because someone else just called me about 15 minutes before we got on the air about a similar issue with a car, and these collectors, they actually have a attorney law firm suing him. It hadn't got to that phase with the first scenario, but I thought this would be something good, a good topic that we can talk about on the show today, because it may be helping some other people out there in Facebook land.
Sure. I think a few key things. I would need to review the paperwork that he did sign. because I'm pretty sure in there there should be some triggering mechanism. It can't just be that, okay, we didn't finish the process. If they didn't finish the process before they gave him the car, then he may have some type of action lenders for bad faith. But before we jump to those conclusions, I would want to review the contracts that he signed with them to see what they have in place and what that fine print looks like. Because a lot of people tend to skip over that because it's small print, it's a lot of print, and that's design. But you need to read what's in there because all of that stuff is usually covered in some of the key sections that are in the small print. Secondly, it sounds like he's having an issue with verification of employment. So he'll need to look at what he signed with Uber, in which I think he's an independent contractor. So he'll need to look at how that status, the other people who drive with Uber and how they're able to verify employment, because contractor, he may be looked at a little bit different. And I think the other thing with that is he's not going to have a Uber, so that be. I would say let's schedule a sit down with him so we can review those documents, because that's a much more specific question to his individual needs. And so maybe of 30 minutes, we could probably put him on the right track as to what steps he needs to take to either get the vehicle back to them and avoid legal action, or work something out with them where they will accept an alternate form of employment.
Gotcha. Now, and I want to ask, this is a question for you, Pete. This also leads us into repossessions. It just sparked my interest about repossessions by this question, because we have a lot of people that they think that because I gave the car back, a voluntary repo, that it shouldn't affect my credit as bad as an involuntary repo. Now, in your history and your study and in your experience, Leslie, have you seen where an involuntary repossession and a voluntary repossession is different on the credit report, and how does that affect an individual's overall score either way?
No difference. Both bad scenarios. So, I think with voluntary, what we're talking about there is it's still a repossession, either way you look at it. And so on the books and on the credit report, it doesn't specify whether it's voluntary or whether it's involuntary. It just says repossession.
Right.
Period. Right. So to that end, there's no advantage of one over the other. The only opportunity you have there is the attorney might want to jump in this, is in whatever negotiations you can have with the party before you turn that car in, as you turn that car in, if you negotiate something to how they report that. And so that's the element of what you're really dealing with. Because when you look at a repossession, if they're repoing it, all right, there's certain requirements that have to be in place to trigger a repo. A little bit different for each state, but so you have done one of those triggers that Charles talked about, and they have to follow certain steps to even repo your car. But if that's the case and that process is going through, then your opportunity, that's why Charles always say call us, because your opportunity to negotiate to have a better end result is before you get to the point where you're missing payments and repossession. So, but as far as that question in itself, there's no difference between involuntary and voluntary in terms of the credit report.
Great. Folks, you want to give us a call, that number is 601-340-6800. Again, that's 601-340-6800. Go to changemyscores.com, changemyscores.com. If you're suffering from these type of issues on your credit report, we got a nice little tool there to kind of get you jump started on your credit. If you got something you need to get done right away, right now, you can get that emergency stabilization kit. Get yourself stabilized until you can get the experts at Irvin Law to step in and help you take that thing to the next level. Again, it's changemyscores.com. Also go to creditmasterslive.com so you can get all the live updates. We're going to have show notes and updates and different blogs and things of that nature coming out supporting this live Facebook feed. So you want to make sure that you plugged in, because you never know what we're going to do, what specials we're going to have, and, you know, promotions and things of that nature, as well as tidbits and nuggets that can help you out, or somebody that you know that's suffering from less than perfect credit as well. Charles, you got anything you want to add to that repossession scenario there that you know, individual can look out for?
No, I think Leslie did a good job of pulling it together as far as there not being a difference between voluntary and involuntary repossession. Uh, I think what he was alluding that would need to happen as far as how a repossession is executed, but we want to try to step in before it gets to the execution part, because at that point there's little recall to stop them, and we want to find a way to rescue and repair and restore credit instead of trying to be reactive on the very tail end.
Well, let me ask you this, Charles. I've had some situations over the last couple of years where, you know, some banks or lenders, they don't even get the car. They just more concerned with the note and the debt. So one, you're not gonna have a title for the vehicle. You know, you can't transfer registration if you got it registered. You know, what would you say about a situation where an individual kept the vehicle, kept the car? They're not gonna be able to get the title for the car because they didn't pay it. The bank is suing them. They want their money. They didn't say anything about the car yet, but the bank is suing them. They want their money. You know, does that falls more along the lines of credit repair or restoration, or more of legal services?
Well, what you're talking about specifically is more in line with legal services. So I will draw on my 18 years of experience here and tell you, when you're dealing with cars, you're either going to buy new or you're going to buy used. And I can give you two horror stories right quick from my years of practice. When I was a young attorney in Columbia, Mississippi, one come in my office and say, look, I bought a car from a used dealer out of Jackson, Mississippi. I'm not going to name any names. I want to protect everybody, but bought a car out of Jackson. And I just got a call from the FBI saying that I was part of a fraudulent purchase. And now I can't get a title, I can't get a tag, and I can't sell the car. But they still want me to make payments.
Wow.
That's one story. Now, I will skip to the very end of that story really fast. We were able to sit down with the FBI and produce the documentation that he kept. Luckily, he kept every scrap of paper that was involved in that transaction. And we were able to, over a course of 5 meetings with the FBI office over in Hattiesburg, come to a resolution where not only did the car company have to pay off the car, he kept the car. He was cleared of any wrongdoing. And, you know, it was all a credit to him. I helped as the attorney, but he helped set up his process because he was proactive in keeping his paperwork and reaching out to me very early in the process before any statements were made, before he was in a position where he answered questions that he may not have understood. So we were able to get that worked out. Fast forward to last year, I had someone come in, they bought a car out of state, and supposedly it had a dealer tag on it to get them back to Mississippi, but they got 5 or 6 different sets of tickets along the way getting back for no tag. And it turns out that the people at the used car lot took the money. They didn't pay off the lien on the car that they sold him. So not only was he not able to get a tag, he was stuck with tickets all across I-20.
Oh my God.
You know, fast forward to the end of that story, we were able to get some of those tickets great based off of witness statements from one of the brokers involved, because they weren't able to do anything with the car either. And to compound the problems with that, the car lot that he bought it from quickly went out of business, so there was no one there that he could pursue action against because they were insolvent.
Wow.
So those are cautionary tales of why you need to be proactive and talk to us very early in the process, because we may be able to bring expertise and years of experience with dealing with these issues to bear. And I know you always say, well, be more specific. I don't like to get into specifics because every case has its own DNA, every case is unique, and every case has its own wrinkles. Just like, I get teased a lot because I have a head full of gray hair. Well, I'm happy to have that gray hair. Everybody's different.
That's right. That's right.
Every case is different. So I prefer a one-to-one approach. I love to get on here and give you our general information, but at the end of the day, if you have an issue, if you have something that's troubling you, let us take those troubles and try to add a layer of expertise to them.
That's right, folks. So you can actually give attorney Charles Irvin a call at area code 601-340-6800. Again, it's 601-340-6800. Quick, another question on repossessions, since this seems like a hot topic today. On my end, I don't know who called y'all on repossessions, but it's been issues with cars all day. How does it affect the individual when a bank does repossess the car? They sell the car at auction. You owe $10,000 on the car. They sold it for $4,000, whatever. So now you got a remainder balance on the vehicle, and now the attorneys and collection agencies are coming after you for the remainder of that balance. What can a person do to protect themselves from situations like that? Or again, is that something that we can deal with from a credit repair standpoint, or that's something that we need to deal with from a legal or both standpoint?
Probably going to be both is the short answer, because you're going to need some help in getting the credit side repaired from that. But on the legal side, read your contracts on the front end, because the default language is 9 times out of 10, the default language is present in that contract, and it tells you mechanism they're going to use to recoup their losses.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Read the default language on your contract. We know you don't want to read.
Right.
A lot of people don't want to read. But I'll tell you what, reading is fundamental, and it can save you a lot of headache.
Here's the bottom line. What I tell people is this. Whatever the value of that loan is, remember, it's not the value of the car.
That's right.
Cars depreciate. It's whatever the value of that loan is you took out on the car. What you owe, and let me just break it down in simplest form. What you owe on that car is your liability.
Mm-hmm.
That debt belongs to you. So when they repossess your car, that debt still belongs to you. They're taking away your car as a result of you not fulfilling your obligations of the agreement. And then the sales transaction is to recoup as much as they can of that debt. And then the balance of that debt is still your debt. So what Charles was saying on the front end is absolutely right. You want to work, I told him in a worst case scenario, right? You want to work with used car dealerships, whatever. You want to sell that car yourself before you have to get it repossessed. You might not have no car, but you don't take the thing on your credit. You can get the money, pay off the car, and start over.
That's smart.
And even in the worst case analogy, right? So you say, okay, look, you go to a dealership, a reputable one, it's sometimes not the one you bought it because they know you can't account. Go to a different one. And worst case scenario, if you give them a deal on that car, it depending on if you had a good interest rate, right? and you're not too upside down. So that's a whole another scenario. They will buy that car from you if it's in good condition because they can turn it and make more money out. So generally, you can get rid of that car. Worst case scenario, if it's upside down and you got to eat $2,000 of that debt that you got to pay off, a lot better than having $10,000 of debt and you don't have a repo against you. So, sometimes you just have to look at all of the options, and that's what Charles was talking about. Call us, let us talk through it. That's the benefit of having the credit restoration arm and the legal arm, because there are things sometimes I have to call Charles and say, okay, what are the legal options here? What can we do here? And same thing with him. He calls me sometimes and we talk about, is this something we can do? Is that something we can do before we deal with the legal aspect? So, the power of having, the three of us and the collaborative efforts we have is just really, really great. But there's always an option other than the worst option. Just know that. There's always an option, usually, if you're proactive, that's better than the worst case scenario. If you're proactive. So I want to make sure I put that disclaimer. There's always an option if you're proactive that's better than the worst case scenario.
That's right, folks. So go ahead and, folks, give us a call at 601-340-6800. Go to Irvin Law's Facebook page, like the Facebook page, like Credit Masters Live. Go to creditmasterslive.com and sign up for our notifications. Like I said, guys, we're going to have great information coming down the pipeline with show notes, different promotion and events that we're going to be doing around the country. So you want to make sure that you're on our mailing list where we can get all that pertinent information to you, because you don't want to miss out on anything. We have another question just came in from Sam. Sam has a question. Do you guys work with professional athletes to help create nonprofit organizations?
Absolutely. We work with everybody that wants to create a nonprofit to create nonprofit organizations. So, I mean, the process is the same, whether you're an athlete, whether you're John Smith. So, absolutely.
Great.
Emmanuel,
Yes,
before we go in depth on Sam's question, I want to point out one thing that I heard in dealing with repossession. I think sometimes we get confused because we spend our money on a vehicle that we think it's automatically our vehicle. It's not your vehicle until you actually are the title holder. When they give you the title free and clear, then it's your vehicle.
That's right.
Until then, they hold that title to ensure that those payments come in. They have you sign all of that paperwork, not because they're in love with your signature, but because they want you to sign off on arbitration, repossession, default, all of the mechanisms that they need to recoup any losses should there be any losses. So they're looking at worst case scenario from day one, knowing that they have a vehicle that's going to depreciate as soon as it leaves the lot. They want to ensure that the money that they have tied up in it, they can get that money back should something go wrong.
Charles, the state of Georgia actually has the title. You familiar with that? Certain states holding the title to vehicles, or they have a certain level of interest in the vehicle, the state itself?
I have not dealt with that personally, but I know it exists. And all that is that you have liens on it. You have to record those things, and they may have a mechanism by which, their Department of Public Safety or Transportation, whoever is over that segment of things, is getting some type of financial interest out of holding those. And the other side of that is they may be holding it so that they can hold business owners in account as well for shady business practices. So it's a two-way street when you see that scenario.
Okay. Great. Hey, folks, you heard it from the horse's mouth. You couldn't get any better advice than that. You got 30 minutes of raw, uncut information, and I don't know what it's going to cost you to call an attorney or go sit down in an attorney's law firm and get the level of information you got here today. But we want you to know that on the Credit Masters Live show, Attorney Charles Irvin is here, Dr. Leslie Peters is here, and myself, Emmanuel Michael. We're here to give you all the tools that you need so you're not left blindside. We don't want you to get caught up with predatory lending. We don't want you to get yourself in situations out here where, a lot of times what we do is we wait too long. We wait till it gets so bad because we embarrassed or we don't want to talk to somebody or we feel bad. There's nothing to feel bad about. We all have ups and downs in life. But what you need to feel bad about if you don't open your mouth and do something about it. We can't help you if you don't ask the question. That's why we ask you to come on the show and ask us questions. We can't help you. We can't give you the right questions that's floating around the answers that's floating around in your head for those questions. You got to get those questions out. And you want to get those questions out. You want to do it in a private form because I understand sometimes, you may want a little bit more intimate conversation. You can give us a call at 601-340-6800. Again, that's 601-340-6800. You can call Attorney Irvin. You can call Leslie Peters. And if you need to get in contact with me by those mechanisms, leave a message and then get the message to me. Inbox us at irvinlaw.com, PLLC Facebook page. You can go to Credit Masters Live on this broadcast. Put your question in up under the comment box. Inbox us on Credit Masters Live. We'd love to get the research that information for you and get back with you. Go right ahead, sir.
If I may add one thing too, we've also made it. I know sometimes you don't want to play the phone tag of calling and missing us and that. So we've created a schedule where you can schedule a consultation, either legal or for credit restoration. Mm-hmm. You can pick the time. It automatically fills in our schedule. So therefore, we will not be tied up with anything else. We're dedicated to you at that time. You can call. We can answer your questions. And we're doing this, and it's absolutely free to do that. So you can get our time to ask those questions, to see if credit restoration is right for you, to see if the legal steps is right for you, to see if e-discovery is right for you. We want to hear from you. So take the time. You can do it at 12 o'clock at night. But schedule the time. Our schedules are there, our availability there. Pick the time that works best for you, and we will call you at that time to discuss whatever you have. So don't feel like if you at work and you get off work and then you're like, okay, they're gone, it's too late to call them. Schedule a time right now. We'll make sure we're here to answer that call and to answer that question that you have.
Tell them where to go to schedule that.
Yeah, so go to Irvin, IRVIN-law.com. It's right there on the home page. Legal is at the top, scroll down, credit restoration is at the bottom, and you can schedule time with either one of us. So Irvin, IRVIN-law.com, and schedule time to talk to us. Because I understand, I don't want to ask all my questions out in an open forum either sometimes. So that's one-on-one call. We'd love to hear from you.
That's right, folks. So we're going to do a quick recap, guys, about who we are and what we do. Our company, Irvin Law and Credit Masters, what we're able to do, we're able to assist you in challenging 100% of all the negative items on your credit report. We do that by using a law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, folks. That law was set up to protect you and I as the consumer from the big three credit report agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And I'm going to throw in a sneak peek of tomorrow's episode, Check Systems.
Ooh.
That Check Systems is a credit reporting agency according to the guidelines of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So, folks, if you're suffering from checks on Check Systems, you need to be on tomorrow's broadcast live. Bring your questions.
Emmanuel, they might not know if they're suffering. So, in other words, if you go to the bank and you try to open a bank account and they tell you no, that might be your problem. So tune in tomorrow and we'll talk to you about Check Systems and answer all of your questions about that as well.
That's right.
Before we get before I promise Sam an answer, so I want to say I want to say Samuel Winky Jenkins. Anytime, anywhere, any place, anywhere in America, have them call me. We'll get them set up with a nonprofit so that they can serve their communities and give back. Any professional athlete that wants that service, give us a call at the number that's listed or go to the website. I'll talk to you one-on-one and make sure your needs are met. Just give me a call.
That's right, guys. So after we help you with challenging the big three credit reporting agency folks, and the law basically says that these guys have to follow so many steps per item before they can place anything negative on your credit report anyway. So anything that's negative, inaccurate, erroneous, or obsolete can come off by using this law and using our program. Because we use the law, once it's off permanently. You don't have to worry about it popping back on there again. We customize all your disputes for you and your investigations to make sure these folks are following the law and doing their job. Now, folks, there's one flat fee for our program to get started. That's $50 down. But for a special closing out this month, this pilot broadcast of Credit Masters Live, Mr. Leslie Peter has waived the down payment of $50. So all you have to do is get in contact with him. Let's get started and get you going for as low as $49 a month. You're going to have a professional come in, dissect, analyze your credit report, folks, and put you on a path, because everything is custom. This is not some makeshift out of the book from the library downtown. This is a customized program that we're going to put together, especially for you and your credit. Most people start seeing results as early as the first 2 to 4 weeks, and the average person after about 3-4 months, folks, they're able to go out and purchase them a car, a big ticket item, or something like that. Now results do vary because everybody's situation is different. The DNA fabric of your credit profile is different than your husband's or your wife. Everybody's situation is different. But I've seen things begin to come off people's credit report as early as 2 weeks. So you don't want to wait. Folks, one thing I understand is that you too can have it all. But first, you got to give us a call. And again, that number is 601-340-6800. That's 601-340-6800. My name is Emmanuel Michael, signing off with attorney Charles Irvin and Leslie Peters. As always, on the Credit Masters Live show, folks, our motto is the results are real.